championship game. And he's talking big game, Freddie. How many titles do you think Golden State will win in the next 4 years?
Well, this is breaking news. Draymond Green talking a big game. Never saw that coming from Draymond Green from that standpoint. But you know what? What you've been able to do as a Golden State Warriors organization, you should have that confidence. I could see them getting two in the next 4 years. I can see them getting two because the West is only going to get tougher and tougher. As great as Steph is going to continue to be, as great as Klay is going to continue to be, and Klay's going to have a bounce back year next year, the year removed from the injury, and Draymond's going to be Draymond. Now you got Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins. I can see them winning two in the next 4 years. But if they win 3 titles in a 4-year stretch, they will officially qualify as a dynasty. They just won't be on the outside of winning 4 championships in 8 years. You win 3 in the next 4 years, that's 7 titles in a 12-year period. That becomes a dynasty when it comes to the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, what about you, Courtney?
I think they're already a dynasty, but I agree with Freddie. I mean, if they win 3 in the next 4 years, they're on another planet. But, you know, I know we've talked so much about how good the Western Conference is, but let's not forget there's some really good teams on the other side of that in the East. I think their window's open right now. You've got guys like Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, Jordan Poole, who are licking their chops after winning this last one, thinking, let's go. Stephen Curry can play this way until he's 40. This team's window is going to stay open, but it's only a window to contend. I think that they'll win one more in that stretch that Draymond Green's talking about the next 4 years, but they'll probably be in at least 2 NBA finals in that stretch.
Think how well they've drafted. I mean, look at the guys they've drafted between, like you mentioned, Jonathan Kuminga. James Wiseman hasn't played yet, and they think he has a tremendous skill level with his basketball team. You go back to Klay Thompson and Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Kevon Looney. This organization has been unbelievable, not only drafting players, but making Steph Curry an icon. Yeah, it's on him to be that kind of player as well. But the fact that they were able to have him flourish in that fashion, Victoria and Courtney, it's unbelievable how Golden State's been able to draft well, and then you add in Andre Iguodala and Andrew Wiggins to fortify those pieces.
Can they go back to back, though?
That's tough. Yeah, I think that they could. I mean, because like Freddie had mentioned, you're going to get Klay Thompson back, probably to the level that he was more closely pre-injury. He has an entire offseason now to work on his game. They've unlocked another level of Andrew Wiggins. Like, I think that this roster can only get better, and they've probably got the best chance of any team. We saw the Vegas odds to contend and to win it next year. So, yeah, I say they can go back-to-back.
Yeah, my gut agrees with Courtney, and my guts agree with Courtney ever since the season ended because they got a taste of that again, and they want to bore people to death by winning, and especially they proved to everybody else that they could come back and be a championship team. My gut right now says that they are the team to beat, and they're going to win another NBA championship.
But when?
Next year. They'll go back-to-back. I'm with Courtney. I'm with it. They'll make it back-to-back, and then they'll be in the heads of the Memphis Grizzlies winning space instead of the other way around.
Oh.
Hey, they said it. Don't look at me that way. I didn't say it. The Grizzlies said they were winning space in the Warriors'
Every single one of them saying a lot.
Freddie's the bad guy now. Thanks.
Yeah, no, Freddie is not. Freddie is not the bad guy, but that's going to do it for.
Desperate to be relevant, that you can't kill him. But Jalen Brunson's a nice player, and I know he played great against Utah, and I know he averaged 60, but it's still Doncic's team. I mean, he's going to make them that much better. They're going to move heaven and earth and give him $110 million, bring the father in and everything else to go out there and to make Brunson the sort of the poster boy of the franchise. I mean, I know they probably feel they have to do it. They charge $1 million for those seats, and it's 19,000 of them they got to fill every day, and it's New York City and it's Broadway. Need to be, talked about. But, I mean, do we think Brunson is a guy that is going to bring them to a second-round playoff series? He's not. So I understand it. Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, he's not like if he was a transitional, big-time alpha dog player who could be a big piece to a championship, you can see it. He's not that.
So the Knicks right now, they have 11 first-round picks in the next 7 years, 8 of which they can trade. So they have 8 tradable first-round picks, and they now have $30 million in salary cap space. The Dallas Mavericks kind of decided, from what I've been told about 2 days ago, that they were not going to be able to pay Brunson. And they are willing to do a sign and trade with the Knicks to help Brunson get to New York. Mm-hmm. The reason that the Knicks don't need it now, they've cleared the space. But the reason that's interesting is that when I was talking to league executives last night, they wonder, do the Knicks have something else up their sleeve? because they could still get Brunson in a sign and trade and still have maneuverability, and they have these 8 picks they can trade.
Okay.
Is there another player that they're looking at? So I know that they have some interest in DeJounte Murray with the San Antonio Spurs, who teams are calling about, and maybe the Spurs are. DeJounte Murray was an all-star last year. He's still not going to be somebody who walks down the street in New York people are going to recognize, at least not right now. But that would be interesting if they could. Are they after them both? The other thing is, could they do the Brunson deal and then keep those picks in the holster for the moment when a star player says, all right, I got to get out of my situation? Because the one thing the Knicks have done, they've positioned themselves to be able to go after a star because their books are relatively clean.
Okay.
And they've got all these picks. But no star players in the last couple of years have said, I want out of a certain situation. We haven't had that really take place. And so the Knicks are kind of just sitting there with this bounty. Do they hold it, or do they try to do something in the short term? So the thing that you worry about the Knicks is, so this is going to be a $100 million deal for Brunson. They've got Julius Randle on a $100 million deal. Very nice players, neither of them, as you say, an alpha dog.
Yep.
They have Evan Fournier on a $70 million deal. Nice player, maybe not even a beta dog, right? Maybe
Correct.
he's
erratic.
maybe he's a Charlie
He's
dog.
great. Next day, he's not so
Right,
good.
okay. R.J. Barrett is eligible for a contract extension of in excess of $100 million this summer. Are you giving him that?
Oh, they're giving it to him.
Okay, so now we got $400 million potentially on 4 guys who individually, I like them all. I mean, Fournier set records for the Knicks for 3-pointers last year. That's a desirable player. And $70 million is a lot, but it's not like fall on the floor awful. But now they got $400 million tied up in 4 guys. Their books aren't going to be as clean. You know, and are those players good enough that if a star comes calling and says, I want to be a Knick, that you could trade? So that's really where the wager is that can they be in position when a star player raises his hand? But I'm going to tell you, there's like, people thought maybe Karl Anthony Towns would someday say, I want to go back home, I want to go to New York. Karl Anthony Towns is about ready to sign a supermax extension. You know, Devin Booker is about to sign a supermax extension. You know, these guys are not coming to the market, and that's what's causing problems.
But do all 4 make an alpha dog?
Alpha puppy.
Alpha.
I mean,
No, seriously though.
It makes 43 wins.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But to Chris's point and to Brian's point, if you're going to be a Jalen Brunson, are they expecting him to be an alpha dog?
Yeah.
Because they don't have it right now.
They can't. There's no way they do.
I know there's no way they can't. But these are the New York Knicks, Wendy, that we're talking about, that they have higher expectations for people. When they signed Evan Fournier last year, they made it seem like he was the second coming of Larry Bird. From that standpoint, I'm thinking, well, I've seen Larry Bird. He's no Larry Bird. Fournier's a nice shooter, but he's a 20-20 guy. He can score 20, give up 20 on any given notice. More than ever before, the Knicks are always going to be a franchise at a crossroads because they overinflate the expectations of players that aren't superstar players.
Yeah.
To your point, Mad Dog, he's a nice player, Jalen Brunson. Is he a difference maker? No. Can he be a difference maker next to Luka Doncic? Sure.
He'd help, yes.
There's no doubt. That's why Dallas said, you're asking for too much money. We're not going to do that when we got Christian, when we got Luka Doncic. We can find a Jalen Brunson not at $25 million per year when it comes to a contract. The Knicks are basically telling everybody, this is our big free agent signing because they know, Wendy, they can't get anybody else.
Maybe there's something else. And I wish I could say, oh, yes, I know it's coming. But there might be something else that they're doing.
And the Knick issue is with getting free. First off, nobody wants to play in New York City because
Apparently
the fans
not.
and the media are going to go crazy.
Yeah.
Number 2, the weather's lousy. And that's a factor. They don't want to play. And number 3, the training camp is 35 miles away.
In person.
And that's a 2-hour drive in traffic on the Hutchinson River Parkway. I just did it this morning. It's 2 hours. So nobody wants to go have their training camp and purchase and then play the games at Madison Square Garden.
That's a good point.
It's a major. And you know, there's a reason why Durant and Irving and LeBron and Kyrie and Kawhi didn't come here.
Right.
The Knicks are doing. You know what the Knicks are doing? They're doing their damnedest